So good morning, everyone, and thank you to those that are here from Alberta, but from around our great nation and certainly internationally. I've had a chance to meet with a couple of you this morning, and very much appreciate that you came here today. As you know, things in this province over the last week have changed quite drastically with regards to the floods that have happened here in Alberta. Very unprecedented, the devastation that have happened to our communities. But I have to say how very, very proud I am, first of all, of our Premier, how quickly Premier Redford has taken action, making sure that as we move from response to recovery and to rebuilding, that we're there for the people, not just to be there in a political sense, but to actually be there. Premier has been across the South, as have many of us ministers over this last week, making sure that we're seeing firsthand the devastation and then going back to the communities as they're starting to move into response, from response to recovery, and to really to be able to see for ourselves, because quite often if the emergencies and disasters happen like that and you haven't had the opportunity to go and see firsthand as ministers and as premiers, you move on to other issues and recovery starts happening. And so we wanted to make sure that we were there. Premier very quickly put $1 billion in this week we put towards automatically for the recovery. We know there's going to be a lot more money that's going to be spent on this, but we want quick action, and she's done an outstanding job. And I have to say how proud I have been at the communities that I've gone to see our response teams, all the emergency management workers, all the volunteers, all of the different departments, and the councils that have come together. When you talk about municipalities and coming as a former mayor of a community, I know how hard those folks work, but we have seen a province that has pulled together not just the communities that are affected, but across this province, but across the nation too. And those of you from other provinces, we really want to thank you for the support that you've shown as well. And as we have this summit here today, I think it just shows the confidence that you have in Calgary and in this province, and we thank you very much for hosting this here today. So we're Albertans, we're strong, we're resilient, as we are as Canadians, and we will be rebuilding the South, and we'll work together to do that. So I want to thank you for being here today, and particularly inviting me to come back and join you. We've got a great ministry, and you'll hear a lot of things that we start talking a little bit different, and it really leads into what Dr. Taylor talked about in our ministry as we bring environment and sustainable resource together, and as we look at how do we have leadership in our province with regards to industry development, whether that be the forest industry, agriculture, oil and gas, or other industries, is that we do it in an integrated approach. And that's really the leadership that Premier Redford has brought into the table, is that no longer in government do we work in silos, but we look at an integrated approach to resource development and to environmental stewardship. So you'll hear integrated resource management terms in this province a lot from all of us. And what that really means is as we develop resources, industries in our province, we do it in a sustainable way, in an integrated way. And so as you know right now in Alberta, we've divided our province into 7 land regions based on watersheds, and we're doing regional plans in each regional plan. We've done the Lower Athabasca region, so the oil sands region. We're now in the South Saskatchewan region, and that's where we are working right now. These are long-term 50-year plans on land development, about whether it's for growth, for population growth, for development growth, for how do we share resources. In the South, this plan has been very interesting as we look at probably in 10 years another 1 million people in this part of the province. How do we make sure that we have planned activities for municipal growth, for development growth, but also very important in the South for making sure that we have enough water, that we can manage the water and share the water in a way that we can have the growth that we want to see in this province. And so it coincides with what we're doing with regards to when I became Environment and Water Minister. Premier had asked me if I would go out and talk to Albertans with regards to water in this province, and not looking in our short-term 4-year terms, but looking in a 20, 30-year term about growth of the province, and really to coincide those with the land use plan. So we're not working on land planning and not looking at the water use. And so we've just completed a couple of months ago community consultations, 20 communities across the province, where we've gone across the province and talked on 4 focus items with Albertans, and also the opportunity for workbooks and websites. So we've had about 2,000 responses in that period of time, 2 months that we went out and talked to Albertans. And the focused items that we talked on were healthy lakes, They were hydraulic fracturing as it pertains to water use in our province, water, wastewater for municipal use, and then of course one that you'll probably talk a lot about today is water management, and how do we manage our water in this province, in areas particularly because it's quite a diverse province and a large land base, as you know, where in some parts of the province we have water shortages where we need to manage differently than in other parts where we have more of an abundance of water, but we want to make sure as we grow the province that we maintain that high quality and quantity of water in the province. And so we've completed that discussion. What we've really heard from Albertans really has to do with the importance, and we no different than Canadians or anyone from around the world, the importance we all place on water in this province. And that we want to make sure whenever possible when we're dealing with oil and gas, and particularly what came out of the fracturing, hydraulic fracturing one, is that whenever possible we are not using fresh water, that we're using other sources of water, saline water, that we have policies in place, that we're reporting with regards to chemicals that we use. Albertans want the development, they want the balance of economic growth, but they also want to make sure that we're taking and protecting the water. With regards to municipalities, really builds upon what Lauren did in Water for Life, and it really is about building regional systems, not just so for affordability, but also, as you would know in your provinces, to have the expertise and the staffs to run these plants is very, very important for us to make sure that we have, as we have regional systems coming together, that we can share that expertise and knowledge. And then, of course, water management is very, very important. And as we look here in the south and we look at prior to the flood time with regards to water management, there's lots of water in this part of the province. It's how do we share it collectively? And that's something with when we have water licenses. But how do we come together and make sure we're sharing it? But when we also look at the flood issues, how do we manage the water? How do we make sure that we're storing and looking at those issues as well, which are very important for us to look at as well? And so we'll be bringing that, what we heard document, the discussion that we heard to Albertans, and be developing policies that will complement the work of Water for Life, but also bring into some of the new things that we heard from Albertans as well. And the other one I want to kind of speak on is how fortunate we are in this province to have all of the industries that work very well with us, certainly in the oil and gas industries with regards to the regulations that they have. This is a very highly regulated province, and the industries work very well with us. But the agriculture industry, and particularly in southern Alberta, I'm really glad to see our irrigators that are here, the districts that are here, because they have done a lot of work to make sure it's not just about how much water we use, but how much water do we save and conserve. That's a big piece of what's really important. And Dr. Taylor's report really spoke about that, about targeting a 30% improvement in overall efficiency and productivity by 2015. So we're sitting here at 2013, and I have to say last week we had a report that came forward to me from the Alberta Water Council. Its third report on water conservation, and it's sector planning for water conservation, efficiency, and productivity. And it's a very, very comprehensive report. And what it did was brought 7 of our major water users here in the province, came together, and we've got chemical producers, downstream petroleum producers, forestry, irrigation, power generation, upstream oil and gas, including the oil sands, and urban municipalities. And what it does is they're voluntarily looking how do they reach those 30% improvement in overall conservation and efficiency in water use. And when you think about that, those are probably about 90% of the users of water in Alberta. For them to come together and look at that and to see the importance when you have it done voluntarily versus us having to regulate it, it really speaks to the importance. It's not just Albertans that, as people, that water is important. It is important to our industries, all of the industries, because we know collectively that we have to have a strong water supply in this province, and by doing so and by being proactive now, we know that for generations to come that will continue. And so as we move forward, whether it's regional planning, whether it's water planning, we know that they're going to be integrated. We know that we have to take a long, broad range approach to this. And so that's why I'm very excited about you being here today and being able to hear what comes out of the discussions you have, because I think from the many different hats that are worn in this room, you will do what we hope we've done with regards to the water conversation, invited all different ideas and people with all different ideas and different stakeholders to come together and give us some of the best practices that we can have, some of the best ideas we can have, so that as we work to build upon and implement Water for Life, we can add to that with the work that the Water Council does, the work that Lauren and his group with WaterSmart does. We're so proud to be able to partner in so many ways with WaterSmart. You just do an amazing job, and I know there's lots of people in the room here with WaterSmart, so I'm not going to mention individually. But I have to say, as a province and as a government, our strength has been and will always continue to be with the partners that we have. And we have so many great partners working with us, especially with regards to our Ministry of Environment, Sustainable Resource Development. As we move in the integrated resource piece, and as we move to an arm's length agency to do the monitoring in this province, where it will be science-based, peer-reviewed, so that whether it's in the agriculture industry or it's in the forest industry or in oil and gas, when we do this planning, when we bring the results back, people will know across this country, across the province, and across globally, that the results have been peer-reviewed, and that's for us very, very important. This is a leadership that Premier Redford has taken, so that as we develop and grow our economy, that the data that comes in will be on an information portal like we've done with regards to the oil sands information portal, where all the information is gathered in that spot. You can go there, you can check it out, the science can peer review it, and you will know that it's not either industry saying it or government just saying it, but it also has a scientific lens, and we know that that will be bringing the credibility to us with regards to developing the economy in Alberta. We're very lucky to have such a great province and to live in such a great nation, but we have to, with all of you here, listen to the ideas, not just be thinking short-sighted in a year or two of our election cycles, but really coming together and really looking at big, broad, bold policies as we move forward. So I look forward to hearing what comes out of the summit here today. I always look forward to working with Lauren, and he gives us really good advice, and Kim as well, Sturgis at the back there, and just so much working with the partners. So thank you all for being here today. Have a great discussion, and hope to see you again soon. Thank you very much.